Early Wednesday morning, with the team sitting on a 5-16 record, Chris Paul posted on Instagram that he was being sent home from the Clippers road trip. President of basketball operations, Lawrence Frank, confirmed that the team is parting ways with the 12-time All-Star. Frank and Clippers coach Ty Lue addressed the situation. Here is the IG post that Chris Paul put up, but both of those men addressed the situation on Wednesday.
We are not scapegoating Chris Paul. We have many issues, and we're going to address each issue for our underperformance. But I do want to make it clear, we're not blaming him for underperforming.
I mean, I don't think the reason why we're 5-16 because of CP's, play. I just think that it wasn't a good fit. Do I want to see CP go out like this? No, I have a lot of respect for him. He's been a friend of mine over the years, and you never want to see a great go out, like this.
NBA contributor Chris Haynes. Chris, this was all pretty unexpected news in what is supposed to be Chris Paul's last season in the league. How did we get here?
Well, the Clippers maintain that there were a series of events and conversations between the front office and Chris Paul over the last few months that ultimately led to his departure. The front office believed they had intel that suggested that Chris Paul was criticizing the coaching staff, front office, and players. And this is something that they felt they've been hearing over the last couple of months. And there was a meeting about a month ago between Lawrence Frank and Chris Paul where Frank addressed this issue again. Chris Paul vehemently denied those accusations, but ultimately Chris Paul elected to apologize to his teammates a few days later if his words or actions were misconstrued. And with that, he asked Lawrence Frank, I was told, to set up a meeting between him and Ty Lue. Those two haven't spoken in weeks. Lawrence Frank said he would get to that. It never happened, and sources said Lue refused to meet with Chris Paul.
It's a really layered situation, clearly. So what's next for CP3?
Well, I reached out to Chris Paul. He hasn't spoke yet, but I did reach out to him and asked him that very question, and he sent me a response back. And in his text message response, he said, "I'm just staying ready. I'm hooping right now. I don't know what's next. I'm still scarred by it all. Still processing everything, but I'm staying ready."
Great stuff. Thanks, Chris. We're going to hear more from you later during our post-game coverage on this and another big story, Giannis and the Bucks. See you then. All right, folks, a lot to unpack there. Blake, I'm looking at you. You were teammates with Chris Paul for 6 seasons in LA. From your knowledge of the situation, what do you make of this move?
I'm just disappointed, to be honest. I can't think of really another word. Obviously shocked at first, but disappointed. I'm disappointed for Chris Paul, but I'm disappointed in the Clippers organization. I mean, Chris Paul was a guy who came to the Clippers when DeAndre and I were first and second year guys. He brought a winning culture. He taught us how to operate in the NBA and how to take every game seriously, how to take your body seriously, that there was no detail that was too small. And we weren't perfect, right? Like we didn't ultimately win a championship. I know that. I'm reminded of it every day. And CP and I didn't always see eye to eye. But I'm disappointed because we got to a franchise that was synonymous with jokes, right? You heard the Clippers and you heard cursed. And again, we didn't win a championship, but we did create a culture and an environment that people respected. Every year you knew the Clippers were going to be competitive. And Chris Paul for 20 years has been the same player. He's been about winning. Re-signing with the Clippers, this was supposed to be his moment. I'm coming back to LA. I'm giving it one last go. And for him to not get to walk out on his own terms from the franchise that he chose to go to end his career is extremely disappointing. But I think the biggest reason I'm disappointed is what Chris said. No communication with Ty Lue. And even more than that, no communication. I talked to CP Wednesday. I talked to him yesterday. I talked to him today. No communication with Steve Ballmer. And that's like the disappointing thing for me.
Yeah. I spoke to Chris about the FaceTime that he posted on Instagram of you, him, and DeAndre. He said in a very complicated day with lots of emotions that really lifted his spirits, having that conversation with all of you. But like, I have to ask, you, of course, had your own ups and downs with the Clippers organization. Does that shape how you view how they handled this?
Yeah, I mean, our experiences always shape, how we see everything. I always go back to that clip. I think everybody's seen it. I was shooting free throws pregame and running off the court, and Steve Ballmer tries to come up and shake my hand, and there it is again. And that was my pregame routine. I meant nothing by that, and I said I'll say the same thing right now that I said then. He has my number. It could have been a situation where he just reached out, hey, I want to talk. And it doesn't change what happened, doesn't change how it happened, but it does give me a certain amount of closure, just because it's like, hey, we had to make decisions, he had to make a decision, and it's all good. But like I said, I'm disappointed that nobody's reached out to Chris because, this organization's been through a lot. And you can build a new arena, you can be at games, you can cheer on the team, you can have all this high energy. But at the end of the day, an organization is built on a foundation of respect.
Yes.
And it's built on how you treat people. And I don't think that in this situation, Chris was treated right. So I'm sort of at a loss for words a little bit. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, of course, there are two sides to every story, and UD, Chris Paul's leadership has become somewhat a topic of discussion within all of this. What questions do you have about if or how that played a role?
I mean, for me, as I've been a locker room guy who's had to reinvent himself over and over and over just to be a part of winning and help other guys that come in. The thing that disappoints me, and the same thing with Blake, it's two parts to communication. There's giving and there's receiving of the communication. We all understand that Chris is an acquired taste and he's not for everybody, but neither was I. But I was given the respect and the relationship with my coaches to open up the door, to have a conversation. So every message that I echoed was in line with the message of the coaching staff and the coach. When I saw that clip right there and I look on that bitch and I see T. Lue, I see Brian Shaw, I see guys who sat in the locker room. I see guys who were part of that brotherhood. So I understand Chris Paul might have ruffled some feathers, but we never turned our back on our brothers. When the door is open, especially when you're a coach that played, that door is open for your vets. That is where I am disappointed. Chris Paul could have said a lot of things that rub people the wrong way. He still should have been able to walk in that office and have an eye-to-eye communication, man-to-man conversation with T. Lue. Everything that I have ever done in this league and everything that I've ever accomplished, it's always come with eye-to-eye communication. It's never been behind the back. It's never head down being cynical. It's always eye-to-eye communication. And that's what I think the problem was. There was just no eye-to-eye communication with T. Lue and Chris Paul, because if you have Chris Paul on your side, even with the leadership skills that he has, if you can somewhat meet him where he's at, then you have an ally in your locker room.
I'm disappointed because Chris Paul's meant so much to this game. I think he's meant so much to this city in terms of he has the ability to retire in the way that he wants to retire. And he chose to come back and to be with the Clippers and to retire here. Within an organization, it's three-pronged, right? Front office has to be on the same page with the coaches. Coaches have to be on the same page with the team. And it just seems like there has not been that trust within the organization. So then you bring in somebody like Chris Paul, who he has been for his entire career, and expect things to be differently. I just would have loved to see this handled. I don't know if this is a great way for the Clippers to then be on display for other free agents to want to come and play for an organization that would do their stars like this in that way. And so I think just from both sides, it's a bad way to end this type of situation.
I'm Taylor Rooks with NBA on Prime. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to see interviews with your favorite players, experience the most exciting moments from around the league, and see what the NBA on Prime crew is up to all season long. And remember, you can hang out with us live each week during the NBA season, only on Prime.